from GC 90.7's Studio A on the campus of Gulf Coast State College. Rapline with Emily Blaze.
Well, our area, of course, is home to many active and retired military members. And today we'll meet with a representative from the Bay County Vet Center. And he'll explain how the office can help veterans and their families. This is Rapline. I'm Emily Blaze. Thanks for joining us. And my guest today is Matt Standish. He is the Veterans Outreach Program Specialist at the Vet Center. Mm-hmm. Matt, thanks for coming on Rapline.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's always an honor when I get to get somewhere and talk about what we do.
And now let's give a little information about how there are some misconceptions about what you do, and are you similar to a place on 11th Street? So first off, tell us what the Vet Center is and how you guys are different from other places.
Absolutely. Well, there are approximately 300 vet centers all across the country, and at a vet center we have the really unique privilege of we are federal VA, so we're paid for, we're fully funded by the federal government and VA, but we're very unique in the VA in the fact that we don't report to the Health Administration, we don't report to the Benefits Administration, and a lot of people will confuse. We get calls all the time from people who are looking for a Veterans Service Office, which is part of the Benefits Administration, where they would go to file claims or get copies of paperwork. And some people come to us thinking that we're a clinic, like the community-based outpatient clinic over on the Navy base. So we do get confused with them a lot, but we are totally different.
And you focus on mental health?
Yeah, well, our primary focus is to provide counseling services. Basically, any veteran, National Guard troop, reservist, or active duty personnel, which we've been seeing active duty for about 2 years, as well as family members. We're unique in the VA that way also because we're allowed to see any immediate family member of that veteran or troop. If they served in a combat zone somewhere or were a victim of military sexual trauma while they're on active duty, they can literally walk in the front door of any vet center in the country. And they're very easy to find. First off, our website, which is www.vetcenter.va.gov. That website has a locator on there where they can find any vet center in the country just by plugging in a zip code. But that trooper, that veteran, can literally just walk in the front door. They're going to get seen by somebody that day. Our counselors are minimum licensed clinical social workers with a master's degree, but every vet center is also staffed with a licensed marriage and family therapist. The most important thing, and the reason we were set up the way we are, is anyone who goes to the vet center for counseling services, nobody will ever know that they were there.
Okay, now how can you assure someone that no one will know?
Okay, well, first off, like I said, we are separate from all the rest of the VA. Within the vet center community, we call it our readjustment counseling services. We have our own record-keeping source. It's an online source, but that is really, it's off limits to anyone else in the VA. Okay, our veterans that come to see us don't have to be in the VA system at all. That's what makes it easy for us to see active duty personnel as well. It just literally nobody else has access to our things, our records or anything.
And so give me an example of some of the situations that people may come into your office for, looking for help.
Well, a lot of them, just because they've heard about us, well, they come into our office for a lot of things. Like I said, we do get confused with other offices, but basically if they looking for some help, looking for someone to talk to, maybe they've been to Iraq or Afghanistan or even Vietnam, Korea. Really, if they served in any kind of combat zone from World War II to right now, they're allowed to come see us. Maybe they're having trouble dealing with their memories. Maybe they've, dealt with it for so long and they're tired of dealing with the post-traumatic stress issues. Maybe it's affecting their marriage or anything like that. Maybe they just can't deal with it anymore. They can come to us, sit down, talk to a real counselor, a professional. Another great feature of the Vet Center is in all 300 vet centers, we are also 99% veterans ourselves. So we're always vets helping vets. We're taking care of our brothers and sisters, which is another great feature of the Vet Center.
So, Matt, where is your office located?
Okay, our Vet Center is located at 3109 Minnesota Avenue. We're in Suite 101. If anybody knows where Haney Technical Center is, if you go up Minnesota Avenue, and then right behind Haney is some buildings that belong to Tyndall Federal Credit Union. We are in the northwest corner of those buildings.
And what are your office hours?
We are generally open, 7 to 4:30 on Mondays and Fridays. We are actually open from 7 in the morning until 7 at night on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're open from 7 to 4:30 or 8 to 4:30 on the first Saturday of every month. Okay. Now, as we grow, and we are expecting to add more staff to our Vet Center, we're going to be able to expand those hours a little bit more. Because basically, whenever that client or that veteran or troop can come see us, we want to accommodate them as much as we can. We don't want them to have to bend to our schedule.
Right. And you were saying that your counselors were minimum licensed clinical social workers.
Ma'am.
So what does that mean to someone who may be considering stopping in?
Basically, it means they're professionals. I mean, they know what they're doing. They are trained and licensed in conducting counseling. They know how to work with people, how to help them out. In addition to individual counseling, we also do groups. In fact, we even have a spouse group that meets. It's just all spouses of veterans who are coming to see us, and it's really funny because they're actually the noisiest group that meets. If I happen to be in the office when they're there, I can hear them down the hall in my office. Usually they're laughing because I know they're talking about how they're dealing with things, and it's fun. It's neat to see.
And as you're talking about families, that means that you can serve spouses and children?
Absolutely. Well, if the veteran or the troop is already coming to see us, then his entire immediate family can come in as well. And I mean entire parents, brothers and sisters, children, and spouse. They can come in and get seen because post-traumatic stress, it's not just that military member that's affected. It affects that entire family.
We hear a lot in the news about post-traumatic stress, PTSD, and how it's claiming the lives of veterans every day. What can you tell us about PTSD and what you're seeing in your office? Okay.
Well, now, I'm not the expert. I'm not a counselor myself. Mm-hmm. Now, I am a retired Air Force First Sergeant. I did get to serve in Iraq in 2005. I don't believe I have any kind of post-traumatic stress. I mean, I think everybody's experienced it, but it can really throw someone's life out of whack. Whether they're having recurring nightmares about what's going on, or they're triggering memories from hearing noises. You get a lot of veterans who won't go to fireworks shows because the booms and bangs from the fireworks will trigger them, and they'll want to just go hide somewhere. And one of the funniest things, or not funniest, but a lot of people worry about military members or veterans that have post-traumatic stress issues as being a danger to the public. Well, that's really not true. A person suffering with post-traumatic stress is more a danger to themselves than they are to anybody else. And so, we deal with a lot of people who are potentially suicidal or may have actually been suicidal. Because, the current statistics are about 22 veterans every day take their own life. We're fortunate that we have a place where they can go and we can hopefully make a dent in that, to give them that place to go. And the way we're set up to be very, very casual, very low threat, very, like I said, confidential, a place where they can go and just know that they can talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, but who could also relate because they're a veteran themselves, and just get a little help dealing with it. The only thing we don't do at a vet center is medications. We're not allowed to prescribe anything, but that also helps us stay confidential because we don't have to worry about any kind of insurance claims or anything like that.
And if you are just tuning in on radio or TV, you're listening and watching Rapline here on GCTV and GC 90.7. And my guest today is Matt Standish. He is a Veterans Outreach Program Specialist with the Bay County Vet Center. Matt, you mentioned that you're retired First Sergeant with the Air Force. So tell us a little bit about what that encompassed.
Well, I had a good career. I got to go to a lot of places. I served for 26 years. For the first 21 years, I was a weapons loader. My job was to take care of the weapon systems on fighter jets and then to load the munitions onto the plane so that the pilots could fly off and hopefully not bring any of it back. But the most rewarding time of my career was the last 5 years where I served as a first sergeant. And being a first sergeant was incredibly rewarding. I mean, I had so much fun being a first sergeant. Every day you had the chance to have some kind of positive effect on somebody's life. They don't always think it was positive at first because a first sergeant is a unique position. Every unit has one, okay? And that first sergeant is only in charge of 4 things: the health, morale, welfare, and discipline of all the troops. So you can imagine the kind of issues that we get to deal with. I mean, DUIs, people in jail, domestics, emergency rooms, not paying their bills, or they need to get their hair cut, or their uniform looks bad. All that gets brought to the first sergeant. And it has its moments, but it really is incredibly rewarding. I also had the privilege of serving in Iraq in 2005, and it ended up being the highlight experience in my entire career.
Why? Tell us.
Well, I called it, basically it was First Sergeant Paradise. Okay. First off, I mean Air Force. I mean, I have so much respect for Marines and Army and Navy, especially Marines and Army, because they're the ones that are in the streets, going door to door. You know, they were in a whole lot more danger than we were. For Air Force, okay, first off, we were only there for about 6 months. Normally, we're not allowed to leave the base, so I had all my people trapped, okay? No alcohol, at least I never found any. I didn't really look that hard. No husbands and wives were there together, so that eliminated 90% of my usual issues, and I didn't have to worry about it. So for me, it was all morale. Every day was visiting my folks, talking to them, putting a smile on their face, challenging them a little bit. Let's try to have some fun while we're there. Kick them in the backside if they're not wearing their gear correctly, because we did have the occasional rocket that would come over the fence. So I want to make sure everybody, took the right precautions and stayed safe. And fortunately, all my people came home fine. And it turned out to be the best experience of my whole career. It was a perfect place to be a first sergeant.
And it sounds like the position you're in now is just a real nice flow into this line of work.
Oh yeah, well I love what I do. I mean, I tell everybody I have the funnest job in the VA, and it's so much like being a first sergeant again, because I get a lot of the same feelings. I just don't have any of the headaches. I have all the good stuff and none of the bad, but literally, the VA pays me to run around 11 counties and do nothing but talk.
And we were talking earlier, and you said you had just come back from Alabama this morning.
Yeah, I was up in Daleville, Alabama to speak at the vocational rehab office up there.
So you're kind of educating people about what services are available.
It's all raising awareness, because here at the Vet Center in the community, we're not really allowed to advertise at all. It's all done by word of mouth. And I don't know the exact reason why we're not allowed to advertise, whether it's budget or just to maintain the confidentiality aspect. But it's really been like this since the beginning, because, I mean, the very first vet centers were created in 1979, and they were created to provide readjustment counseling services back then just to Vietnam veterans. Beautiful thing about those first vet centers was nearly everybody that worked there were also Vietnam veterans. So it's always been, fully confidential, vets helping vets, a place where they could go and just not have to worry about anything. We have veterans that will come and hang out in our office and just drink coffee in the lobby. So it's fun.
And now, if people want to see you outside of the office, there's various places that you're going, different events in the community. Tell us some of the upcoming events that you'll be at.
Some of the upcoming things. Let's see. This weekend is the Oktoberfest, downtown Panama City. I'll have my tent set up there Friday and Saturday. Sunday, I'm going to be up in Newton, Alabama for a Civil War reenactment festival. Next week, we have the Thunder Beach Rally. This is the first time I've been able to get into the Thunder Beach rally, so I'm going to have my tent set up at Frank Brown Park for 4 days. I am not sure how many people I'm going to talk to. I'm pretty sure it's going to be big. It should be a lot of folks. But I keep a table just loaded with information. The only thing that's most important is my one brochure that I have, but I keep a bunch of other stuff just to attract people's attention, with different subjects on there from different other agencies around town, because I like to partner with different agencies, because we're all out there to try to help each other or try to help people. So we never know when we can find someone that they can help, and then they can find people that they can refer to us.
Are there some common questions that you get from the public when you're out and about like that?
Well, the most common questions I get is who are you? What do you do? I never heard of you. And that's pretty normal. I mean, we're probably the best kept secret in the VA. I mean, people just don't know that we're there. And so they come up and ask. Occasionally I get questions about, where do I go to take my dog for shots? And being a vet center.
The vet center, yeah.
That happens almost every time I'm out and about. But I get a lot of questions about how to file claims. Of course, I can't do any of that. But the neat thing about the vet center is I would encourage anybody out there also, if you know of a veteran that you think could use our help, tell them about us. Send them to us, no matter what their issue is. I mean, if you think you're not sure if they would be eligible, or maybe they need something that we're not able to do, send them to us anyway, because if we can't do it, we're going to know the people that can. So we'll at least get them in the right place, get them in the right direction. And if we can't figure out a way to make them eligible, we're going to give them probably 3 to 5 courtesy visits, trying to get them settled and grounded, then help them find another agency that they can go to. So just give us the chance to take care of them.
Now, Matt, what about people that were in the National Guard? Can you help them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, anybody, veterans, National Guard, reservists, and active duty personnel, if they served in a combat zone somewhere, and there are a lot of National Guard and reservists that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, they were, especially Army, they were tasked really hard. When I was over there, I actually had some Air National Guard people that worked for me. And, they have just as much chance to come see us as anybody else. I mean, if they served in a combat zone or were a victim of military sexual trauma, again, they can come see us without any worries.
And we were talking earlier before the show that there's so much perceived stigma about asking for help, and do you see that changing?
I see a lot of, even when I was active, I mean, there was always a lot of emphasis trying to encourage people to tell them, say, listen, it's not going to hurt your career. That's always said. They bring it up and say, it's not going to hurt. But even then, I always tell people, there's that stigma that's associated with getting counseling. And whether it's valid or not, there are people that just won't talk to anyone, especially in your active duty community, because they're worried about, their security clearance or their ability to carry a weapon or some reason that just keeps them from talking to anybody. So that's where we have that wonderful privilege of being able to give them a place to go. And, we're not trying to replace what's already there, because there are tons of resources and services available. Every VA clinic has a mental health clinic. Every military installation, you have mental health, you have military one source, you have chaplains, which are great resources. In fact, they're the only ones that are more confidential than us. Lots of resources, but still thousands and thousands of veterans and troops who won't use those resources. So we try to give them that safe place to go.
You mentioned those that were victims of sexual trauma in the military, and that's just come to light recently in the news in the last few years.
Right. Yeah, it actually pains me a lot as a first sergeant, because I helped a number of people out of the Air Force because of those kind of issues on both sides, as the perpetrators and the victims. And when we first started seeing active duty personnel, a lot of them were sexual trauma. As you can imagine, they're so reluctant to bring it up to anybody. So we just want to encourage, if they have those issues, man, come see us. I mean, we have people that, know how to talk about it, how to deal with it, and we'll give them all the help that we can. And nobody will know that they were there.
And I guess the good news for those who are listening and watching, and if they're struggling with something, is that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
If you go get help.
Right. Yeah, if they go get help, it's here and it's available. It's not the end of the world. There are a lot. Taking your own life is not a solution. It's a permanent I read this somewhere. Suicide is a permanent solution to a non-permanent problem, to a correctable problem, something that can be helped with. They just got to give us the chance to help them out.
And not to mention, as you're talking about those that complete suicide, the family and friends that are left to deal with that, and how impactful that has got to be for the rest of their lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, this suicide, it may solve the issue for the person that commits it, but you're leaving that family who now has to try to deal with it. And we've actually, I don't want to give too many details, but we actually got the chance to treat a suicidal teenager for a combat veteran, and it was related to his parent being deployed so much. So, I mean, what an honor and a privilege to be able to help out a situation like that. It really is. It's very satisfying. The vet center is a neat place.
And now, as we're talking about that, can you help family members whose their husband or wife was in the military or retired military and completed suicide? Can they come see you after the fact? How does that work?
Well, if it happened while they were in, they can definitely come see us. Okay. Basically, with any situation that's kind of
not quite sure, black or white.
I just tell them, come on in. Let us worry about that. We'll figure out eligibility. If we can't find a way to make them eligible, I mean, if the military member passed away for any reason while they were on active duty, then they are eligible for we call it bereavement counseling. We can do that. We can also provide counseling, grief counseling to the spouses, to the widows and widowers of any veteran that passes away. And I don't see us getting any smaller. We're just continuing to grow. It's like every year they give us something else to do, and we just say, bring it on. Give us more people to talk to, more people to take care of.
So Vets Helping Vets, it's free, it's confidential.
Absolutely.
And again, tell us where you're located, and there was a website as well.
Okay. We are located at 3109 Minnesota Avenue, Suite 101, and that's in the Tyndall Federal Credit Union buildings behind Haney Technical Center. Our phone number at our office is 850-522-6102, and we also have our own crisis line. That's just part of the Vet Center community. We call it's 877-WAR-VETS, WARVETS. We call it our combat call center. And the neat thing about it is if that veteran or troop calls that number, they will talk to a veteran. Okay, there is a national crisis line, but then a veteran crisis line, but this is special. So yeah, if they call that, they'll help them find any vet center in the country too.
So what do you think listeners and viewers would find most surprising about the vet center?
Yeah, probably the fact that we just even exist.
Yeah.
It's amazing. How many people don't know that we're there. And I know it's meant to be, private and confidential. Like I said, we don't advertise, but that there is such a safe place for those veterans and troops to go. If they don't have to worry about anything, they can come see us. Really, the only way anyone would ever find out that veteran or troop was in our office is if they walked in our front door and they were actively homicidal or suicidal, we have to call 911. Like I said, we're almost as confidential as chaplains. Chaplains don't have to, even if they're suicidal or homicidal, chaplains don't have to tell anybody.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, we do then. But other than that, nobody will ever know that they were there.
So you had mentioned on a couple of occasions that you feel like you have one of the best jobs in the world.
Absolutely.
And expound on that, if you will.
Well, I mean, all first sergeants are good at two things. One is we're good at motivating troops. Sometimes that's a steel-toed boot in their backside. And all first sergeants love to talk. Well, like I said, I get paid to run around 11 counties and do nothing but talk. The hardest part of my work is when I have to do an outdoor event and I set up my tent. And if it's a nighttime event, I'll put lights around it and everything. And just make it a bright thing so it attracts people's attention and just to get them over and talk. And I am always available to talk to any group that wants to listen. That is my job. I do a lot of public speaking. It can be a civilian group, military group, veteran group, kids group, nonprofit agencies. I've spoken to all but one Rotary Club, and I got them on my calendar. Lions Clubs, Kiwanis Clubs, VFWs, AMVETs, American Legions. I got to speak at a social worker conference in April, which was really a blast. I really enjoyed that. Just any group. And
so if someone's watching or listening and
please.
say, hey, we think we need Matt to come talk to us, they can do that.
Yep, they just contact the vet center and they'll leave a message for me and I don't mind giving out an email too. It's Matthew, MATTHEW .Standish, STANDISH @va.gov. Send me an email, and if I can squeeze it into my calendar, I'll be there.
All right, and we have just a couple of minutes left.
Sure.
And so are there any final thoughts that you want our listeners to go away with today as we wrap this up?
No, mostly just we need your help. Just help us spread the word. You know, that's why I say I'll talk to any group that's willing to listen. I do about a 20-minute speech, presentation, whatever you want to call it. I don't use any slides, and I usually give away stuff. I have all kinds of stuff I can just hand out. But I speak to any group that'll listen because as far as I can tell, everybody I've ever met knows at least one veteran. So the more people that I can educate and get them familiar with what we do, the better chance we have of finding that veteran or troop that's out there that we can take care of. I set up for festivals and fairs. I've done the Possum Festival 3 years in a row. It's a great place. Love doing that.
What about the Watermelon Festival?
The Watermelon Festival, I've actually tried, but I ran into a little roadblock. Well, the VA is funny. There's two things that they won't pay for. One is food. Okay, they won't pay for food. So the coffee that we maintain a coffee bar for our clients and one for our staff, and the coffee that we provide to our veterans is either we buy it ourselves or it's donated. But we don't ask for donations because we're not allowed to. The other thing they won't pay for is like fees, registration fees. Normally I can get just about every organization, whether there's whoever's putting on the festival, I can get them to waive the fees, but sometimes they won't, and that's fine. It just means I wasn't meant to be there.
That's right. Well, hopefully with your appearance here, we'll reach some other people and educate people that can educate others.
I'm always looking for another place to go talk, so.
All right, Matt. Well, thanks for stopping by Rapline.
My pleasure.
And that is a wrap for this edition of Rapline. And thanks again to Matt Standish with the Bay County Vet Center. Info, you can find that, send him an email, or stop by the office there in Lynn Haven. I'm Emily Blaze, and Rapline is service of Gulf Coast State College and GC 90.7. Quick reminder, if you're thinking of adding a pet to your family, consider the adoption option. Thanks for listening and watching, and have a great day.